It's often the darkest moments in our lives, when we're lost completely, that actually reveal the most brilliant and dazzling light ever. Yosef was at the lowest moment of his life. He had been in prison in a dungeon for 10 years. Now, those 10 years, he was able to rationalize. Why am I in prison? Well, I spoke Lashon Hara, I slandered each one of my 10 brothers. And so God is repaying me. 1 year, 1 brother. So 10 years, 10 brothers. At the end of 10 years, Yosef believes, he's holding a hope. Finally, I'm going to get out of the dungeon. Finally, the moment's going to come. I'm able to escape. And indeed, right there and then, he has his opportunity. He meets the butler and the baker, realizes the butler's going to be in front of Paro in 3 days' time, and he says to the butler, Zichartani v'izkartani, remember me and remind me to Paro. And he's holding hope as the butler leaves the dungeon and goes back in front of Paro. He's holding hope. It was for 2 years because he said Zichartani v'izkartani, so he was thinking that somewhere, surely the butler will remember him. And for each word I said, 1 year, up to 2 years. Up to 2 years, he believed that the butler would still remember him in front of Paro. At the end of 2 years, so 10 years plus 2 years, now he realizes it's over. At that point, it dawned on Yosef that there was absolutely no hope anymore. And at this point, it was over. He was forgotten. There was absolutely no hope. And at that moment, as Yosef reached the lowest moment in his life, when there was nothing else to hope for, precisely at that moment comes the Geula, comes the redemption. Because the darkest moment of the night is the moment right before dawn. And it's interesting and significant that in our parasha, the beginning of the parasha is, Vayhi miketz shnosayim yomim. It was at the end of 2 years, but really the word miketz has a dual meaning. Okay, miketz can mean the end, but miketz is the word katzeh. Katzeh in dikduk, in grammar, means an edge. So there's the beginning and the end. Both the beginning and the end are the edges. Miketz shnosayim yomim could mean at the beginning of 2 years, could mean at the end of 2 years, depends how you explain it. It could mean the end of 2 years from when Yosef had been with the butler, or it could be the beginning of a new era, that from when Yosef went in front of Paro and interpreted the dream was to be 2 more years before the actual manifestation of the dreams and the 7 years of famine begin. So the word miketz could mean the beginning, could mean the end. In fact, miketz means both. At the moment that Yosef reached his ketz, his end, when he thought it was over, he thought it was done. So he gives it over to God. He says, God, 10 years, I could rationalize. 2 more years, I could rationalize. And at the second that he's over and done, at that point comes about the revelation. And suddenly miketz means the beginning. What you consider to be the end is when you let go completely. And when you let go, you let God in. And then it becomes the beginning, the dawn of a brand new era. As we light the Hanukkah candles every year in Parashas Miketz, we realize that our power is to light up the darkest moments. Just when we think it's over, when to us it seems impossible odds, that's actually the most dazzling and brilliant light that we've ever experienced. When we let go, when we lose it completely. And that's why if you look, a Ferris wheel goes around and around. When it hits the rock bottom, all the way at the bottom, whichever way you go is up. What you consider to be the rock bottom is in fact the beginning of the upward movement. And at that point, you rise.